Hey everyone, welcome back to Walk-Ins. Welcome. And I think we've been on an interview sprint, it feels like. We've had lots of interviews recently. I'm excited about this one because we've been talking marketing. We always talk marketing, but we're going to really dive into the branding side of things, which to me is like the overarching marketing side of marketing itself, because branding can represent a whole lot of things. So we actually have Bethany on today. So Nick, tell us about Bethany.
Bethany Meadows. I could give you a laundry list of her background. I'm going to pick with some highlights from the business world first, though. So, Bethany, we've been working together for a long time through Vertical Solutions Media, which is your digital agency and branding agency. Time to Thrive Coaching. We've worked together on that, where you coach people in business. We have Team Meadows, which is your real estate background, where you buy, sell, trade real estate, all the things that you do as a realtor. One of our favorite things that we use as an agency is our Fire Eaters hot sauce boxes, which is a subscription-based hot sauce. And I know there's more.
So if you don't want to work with us urgent cares, at least work with us to get a hot sauce box.
I mean, if you do business with us, you're going to get some hot sauce, because we're going to light your marketing up. And then finally, and what I'm excited about to talk about today is Fuel, which is all about that systemized branding. So welcome to the podcast, Bethany. Say hello to our audience and say one thing about you that nobody knows.
Oh, well, we're going to start off with that, huh?
Heck yeah.
Well, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me. This is a privilege and an honor. Nick, I've known for, I don't even want to say how many years, because that ages us out, but
that's right.
The thing about Nick that I love, and if Nick asked me to jump a tall building with him, I would do it, because I trust Nick. Nick has always been shown to be a man of integrity. And I love working with people that just share those kind of values. One thing about me.
Hold on now. Hold on.
I tell everybody I know that about Nick. I mean, if I get someone asks, what about Nick Horde? Should we work with Nick the marketer? I'm like, anything Nick tells you to do, you should trust, because I've always known him to be honest and just a great person to work with. So I love Nick.
We need Bethany as a perpetual.
We do.
Yes.
So we'll have you on the next podcast too. Anyway, keep going.
I do not say that about everyone. Trust me. So one thing about me that a lot of people don't know is I started my business as a single mom of 5 kids, 4 of which were adopted, and had some special challenges. So Vertical Solutions Media, my personal motto at the time was stay vertical. Because I'd gone through a really awful divorce. It was probably one of the most stressful times in my life. My hair was falling out. It was, that kind of situation. And so I was just really hanging on to my faith in that time, and stay vertical was my motto. And that's why the name of the business is Vertical Solutions Media. That's where that came from. So it was just kind of getting through it with my kids, and I was homeschooling as well. And so I just drew on all my corporate experience to process, drive that whole thing of being able to do a business, homeschool 5 children, and do it by myself and keep a roof over our heads at the same time. So
that is just incredible. I've actually
I already know her, so I'm like, I wonder what you're thinking.
Well, it's funny because like Nick knows all this, because I was reading some notes and I was like, wait, she did what? Like, how is she still alive right now? I mean, with
few people would survive that,
right? Or have all their hair fall out. So it's just congrats to you to where you are, like, and what you had to go through. That's incredible.
I'd like to say I did it perfectly, but I definitely did not. My neighbors came and knocked on my door one day, and it was very stressful. I mean, 18-hour days was very normal for me to, by the time I got through schooling and then did all the business things. And my neighbors knocked on my door one day and said, we don't know, we just feel like we need to bless you, and we're going to pay for someone to come clean up all the leaves in your yard. And I remember in that moment, I just burst into tears, because it was nice that someone noticed that I need a little help here. And
you're not the neighbor who refuses to clean their yard or mow their yard. You're the neighbor who literally cannot do it because you're spinning 215 plates.
Yeah.
Yes. That was it. And it was just that was just a love moment for me. So it sticks with you, when someone blesses you like that.
Well, Bethany, you heard me at the beginning rattle off at least 5 of your businesses. There's a couple of important notes here that I want to bring to the table about those 5 businesses. One, they all have their own unique brand. 2, they're all still in business and producing.
That's right.
That is somebody who does not suck at branding. So I want to talk about all branding possibilities from the standpoint of somebody who has started from scratch and maybe doesn't have a brand at all, to maybe even somebody who has this multi-million dollar, multi-state type brand in the medical facility, but maybe they need to tweak their message to better suit what we're going through today in the world. So let's start with that person that may be in a startup mode. They're just starting their clinic. They're just starting their practice. Let's talk about brand. What are some things that they should start looking at first?
Yeah, so I think one of the big mistakes that business owners make, especially when they're first starting out, is that they don't really have an understanding of brands. What they know is what they do, right? So, if you're in the medical field, for example, you're really good at taking care of your patients and that process, managing your staff, what have you, the things that you do. But you didn't necessarily go to medical school or go through this process of building this business or opening this business because you had a brand background. So most of them come into it and they think brand is a logo.
I was
And
about to say that. That's the number
yeah,
one
That's the number
response I
one
get.
thing.
I have a logo. I don't need anything else,
That's
right?
right. And so like a lot of times when I say, hey, tell me about your brand, and they'll say, well, we have this really cool logo that somebody made for us. I say, okay, we'll dig into it. Why is this logo cool? Why is it the right logo for you? Oh, I don't know. I just liked what it looked like. And that's the extent of the brand. But brand really is this multi-level, it's a living, breathing thing that evolves over time and really embodies who your company culture, your customers' perceptions of you. A company that does it really well. Think about like the last time you went to Disney World.
Right.
And I mean, the detail that they put into every aspect of your experience, that is brand at the highest level right there. So you have creative elements that go with your brand, your logo, your, the little icons, colors, and things like that. And those things are important, but they should be a reflection of that deeper part of that customer experience that you're trying to create. Another mistake that business owners make is they think that everyone is their target audience.
Everybody's,
Right?
this is for everyone.
Everyone's my
Yeah.
customer.
So I did a workshop one time at a library. I had about 110 business owners there, and I asked the question, who is your audience? And the lady in the front row raised her hand. I called on her, and she said, well, everyone is my audience. And I said, oh, do tell. What do you do? And she makes organic soap in her basement and sells it online. And she says, well, everybody needs soap. Therefore, everybody is my audience. And I said, well, you would be wrong because not everybody wants organic soap, nor is everyone going to pay $4 a bar for it.
Right.
So not everyone is your audience. And unless you are a global brand, a Coca-Cola, an Apple, you don't have the budget to market to everyone. So you have to be very, targeted and specific. But not only targeted and specific, when you have the right brand, when you've taken the time to really go into that depth, then you're able to speak to your ideal customer in a way that really resonates with them, that makes an emotional connection with them, that makes them think, yeah, they really get me. They understand what my pain point is, or what it is that I'm looking for, what I need. So there's a much higher chance, even in the targeting world, targeting is ideal, but if you're speaking to them in that way, there's a much higher rate of them actually responding. So brand is so key to success for your business. And it couldn't be further away from just having a logo.
Yeah, when I think about branding, well, talking about medical, one of the best things that I thought was a long time ago, I had met with a veterinarian, and they said, "Oh, in vet school, we think marketing is evil. It's not a good thing." I said, "Well, I'm just curious, why do all vets have yellow brick buildings?" And she said, "Oh, it's easy to recognize us." Like, that's actually marketing if you didn't realize
Just,
it.
just in case you were unaware.
And she started laughing. She's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess we do believe in it, don't we?"
Somebody sold them a bill of goods.
Yeah.
On a much deeper level, Bethany, how does branding work with emotion? What I mean by that is we've talked a lot about in the past about it's not so much about what you say as much as how you make people feel,
That's right.
or what they feel.
Mm.
So how can you use brand to make people feel a certain way, especially in the medical community? Like if you look at an urgent care, what kind of feeling am I trying to get these people that are my
Right.
patients?
So that's a great question, Nick. And one of the things I like to look at it, I break it down into touch points. You have your human touch points, you have your product touch points or service, as it were, touch points, and then you have your system touch points. And these things can be mapped. That's one of the things that we teach inside that Time to Thrive membership that you mentioned earlier that we do. And so what we do is we draw circles at every part of the customer's journey. And inside these circles, we list all the touches that they have. So maybe it's, they go to our website. That's a touch, right? They're going to experience something while they're there. They might call, they might get an email from us. They might see a digital ad out in the world. All these touches, they matter. How you answer the phone matters. How you respond to a complaint matters. I mean, you can win a customer for life over a complaint, or you can have somebody out there bad mouthing your business and giving bad reviews.
Or wear a t-shirt of an animal clinic. I got a story for you in a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing about touch points is everybody expects the big things. Everybody expects you to do what you said you were going to do. Where you really create that emotional connection and where you really create the wow factor is in these smaller touch points where you do the unexpected, where you take it to the next level, right?
Yes.
One of the things that I do, like in real estate or anything really, I love the handwritten note. It's personal. It takes me 2 seconds to do, but it starts building a relationship outside of a digital relationship or a relationship that's just done through an email, for example.
Right.
In our subscription boxes that you mentioned, the Fire Eaters box, we do a handwritten note in there. And so, just thanks for being part of the Fire Eaters community, and sign our first name, whoever packed the box. These are the kind of little things that actually, when you do a bunch of these, like that you've done in your touch point mapping, you examine each of those touch points and you go, okay, how can we elevate this? How can we take this to the next level? How can we stand out in this noisy marketplace by doing something here unexpected that's going to wow our customers? When you can incorporate these throughout your touch point map, that puts you way ahead of your competition because they're not taking the time to do that. So that's the next level kind of thing. When you're talking about the medical community, and you're talking about that kind of service, people need to trust you. Mm-hmm. You need to protect your credibility, but they also need to like you, right?
Right.
If they don't like you, if you have someone at your front desk who's rude, that can destroy your business because they're not reflecting the kind of experience that you want for your business. So every part, that's a human touch point. So every part of this experience that the customer's having with your business, it could be the reading material in the waiting room, or what's playing on the TVs, or how you're calling people in, or the process of onboarding them through the triage. All of that is part of the experience. And we've all had bad experiences going to the doctor, right? We've all had where we've been
100%.
about in the waiting room for 45 minutes. Nobody even bothered to apologize for the fact they forgot us. Or, we got left in a room for 2 hours because they were busy and nobody even comes and checks on us and we're dying. We need a drink of water. I mean, some of these things can be so easy to implement because they're thoughtful and I care about you. You matter to us. You're not just part of a herd that we're getting in and getting out as fast as possible so we can make the most amount of money. Nobody wants to feel like we're on the receiving end of that. So as someone providing medical services, there's an opportunity to really stand out among others. And when you do, you create brand ambassadors, which is the ultimate goal, because that's the kind of advertising that you cannot pay for. That's gold advertising.
Right. We call them raving fans. That's what we're looking for.
There you go, raving fans. And
That's
that
what we want.
ultimately, that touch point map should all be driving towards creating raving fans. Because, you'll have a waiting list for people who want to be part of your clinic or your practice.
I talk to my team quite often about if you will just get better at these things like customer service, these touch points, the market will demand that you get bigger. You won't have a problem with that if
Right.
you do these other things right. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use your brand and put it out there, but the market will demand that you get bigger if you take care of these touch points that you're talking about. It's funny, just a few minutes ago, I was talking about somebody wearing a t-shirt. Michael, tell that story real quick because it's funny.
I will tell it, but in the protection of the person too.
Yeah, don't say the name of the company.
All right.
Yeah.
So have a client. I was doing a check-in with him, and it was in the heart of COVID, so it was a Zoom meeting, and he had a shirt on. It wasn't his company; it was an animal clinic. I said, "Oh, I recognize the name and everything." I was like, "Oh, do you like them?" He said, "No, I hate them. They killed my dog, and I purposely wear this shirt so people can ask me about it."
He tells everybody, he wears it just to tell people how much he hates this company.
Yeah,
Think about that for a second.
And so we're like, let's take him off the list of t-shirts.
I was like, do not give that man a t-shirt or a box.
Killing the dog is the opposite of good branding.
Well, I mean,
That's not customer
there's
experience.
also a whole lot of things there that we don't know that could have happened or
Right.
not happened. The whole point, and even telling that story, much like the touch points, is you can create an outstanding customer experience, but somewhere along the line, it only takes one person to provide a poor experience that undoes all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
So if your nurse is having a bad day and stabs you in the arm and misses the vein 30 times, that's a bad experience, right? If your front desk person is overwhelmed and they just mouth off at you, that's a bad customer experience. This is not what you're looking for.
Or like I was at a Burger King, like I'm never going back to this Burger King because of the situation, but literally the employee was screaming at the manager in the back.
I remember you telling me.
And there were like four of us in the lobby eating, and we're all looking at each other like, what's about to happen?
Awkward.
Yeah. And so like at that, like the food was fine, the service is okay, but then that happened, like, yeah, I don't want to come back here.
So Bethany, being our brand expert, here we've talked about logos, we've talked about color schemes a bit, but we've also talked about a broad picture. What are some real actionable steps that somebody who either has a brand or is working on developing their brand can take to make sure that these touch points are taken care of?
So, well, and I alluded to it earlier about that touch point mapping. I think that's a good place to start, is really at first identifying where all those touch points are, and then measuring them. Like, where are we doing good in those areas? Is this touch point, do we need to change it, or is it operating well the way we have it? I think that's that first step, is just seeing where the gaps are inside your touch points, where you can have a lot of times when I'll ask people as part of that brand process. You alluded to fuel. Part of that product is inside that survey. We ask people, what is the most common things that people say that are great about your company? And then we ask, what are the most common things that people say about you that complain about you? Like, what do they say?
Right.
And that's really what your customer base will tell you. Your patients will tell you. You just got to be listening.
Right.
You know, if they're going to complain about this or that or the other, you have to have something in place to capture that information and then act on it so that you can next level the experience and it doesn't happen again. You know, if they're complaining to the person at the front, but it never gets back to you, you don't have a system in place for it to be communicated to you. And that's where all that learning takes place. All learning is good learning.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Some of it's more painful than others, but all of it is good.
Yeah,
All
we
of it
don't
learns
always
it.
want to hear the things that we're doing poorly, but if
Right.
we're not aware of them, we can't do anything to change it. So I think the first thing is really identifying where all the touch points exist inside of our company, figuring out the ones that we're doing well and the ones that we need to maybe create a better experience. And then throw in some real wow factors somewhere in that journey where the customer gets so completely taken off guard that experience is going to stick with them and they're going to tell somebody about it. And
We
figuring out-
recommend a fire eaters box for that.
Right. And I mean, that's a great example that your company does when a new client or a business anniversary of a client, and just out of the blue, they get this box, this experience that's, you know, got your brand and, you know, little note from Nick inside. And the feedback on that has been great. Like people
Right.
are like, wow, it took them off guard. It was a wow experience. So
Yeah, too bad doctors can't send you like a care package in the mail. It has like Pepto-Bismol,
Oh, that would be cool. You want to talk about some liability.
Yeah, that would
Of
work.
course, watch us mail something to somebody who has bad ulcers.
Yeah.
you know, one experience that doctors' offices, because they have it's like a bank, right? At a bank, you have people coming in over and over again, but you don't always go to the bank every week. You might go to the bank every 4 or 5 months when you know, have a need that to go in person because everything's done online a lot. The bank tellers who can remember people's names, they elevate the customer's experience because they feel special. They feel like I matter to this bank and I matter to
Right.
this branch because they remember me. If you have somebody at your front desk who can remember names,
Mhm.
that's a game changer for your practice.
You know who's really good at that? The Great Wall down.
Oh,
every
yeah,
time I
yeah.
walk in, they're like, Nick, what's that? It's Chinese food or Asian food.
Yeah.
And they're like, are you going to have this like you always have? And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But they make me feel like $1 million every time I walk through the door.
Well, I was gonna say the bank teller comment. I was a bank teller once, and on the opposite side of that, how much a customer hates you if you say, "Can I please have your driver's license to verify this check to be cash?" And they're like, eyeballs catch on fire, and they look to the teller that knows them and says, "Why is this person asking me this question right now?"
Right. Because
So-
it has the opposite effect, right?
Right, exactly.
The effect is, well, I couldn't matter very much if no one remembers me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I was a 16-year-old kid. I had no idea what I was doing. And I was terrified to ask the question, but I had to.
Right. Ooh. So one of the things that we wanted to do for anybody that maybe, well, let me back up a little bit. We had somebody call us from a previous episode of Walk-ins Welcome who was getting ready to launch their own urgent care. And obviously we don't do the launch phases of those kind of things. Like if you know your brand, we're really good at getting the word out for you and getting lots and lots of new patients for you. But from the startup phase, we were kind of at a loss. We didn't know how to help this person. So I'm so excited because you have why don't I tell you what, you're going to give away a brand package. Why don't you talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so we saw kind of a need for people. If we do a custom brand for people, it might cost 5,000 to 10,000. I mean, just at the bottom end of that. It could go up from there into hundreds of thousands for a national brand.
Right.
Because there's a lot of that customization and things that go into it. So we were trying to create something that would be more of an affordable option for a small business so that they weren't just operating with a logo, but they had gone through a process of being able to identify that depth, that perception that they're wanting to put out there. And a lot of times they don't even know how to articulate that. If I just said to them, hey, tell me about the culture of your company and what that looks like. They don't know what to say. They haven't thought about it. They don't know, where to go with that, or they're looking for the right answer. But there's no wrong answer in branding because you want brand to always be genuine. Right. It needs to be as a small business, it's a reflection of you. Right. So
it is your personality and your DNA.
Yeah.
It's who you are.
Right. It's woven into your company, just whether you want it to or not.
That's right.
So I took all my experience in working through these, larger brands, situations, and I identified some really key components of things that I can take a small business owner through that process of helping them sort and prioritize the values that make up their business. And the right questions about their customers and who they're trying to reach and what the pain points of their customers are, and really getting even down into the style that best fits with their culture and identifying color palettes that fit with their style. And so we've done that in a way that we can, as you called it, systemize this process to make it much more affordable, but still get a really great quality result of a brand story, a brand narrative, a brand identity that has enough substance to it that it will evolve with the company and become a timeless part of who they are.
So your years and years of experience all packed into a questionnaire. It sounds super simple, but the whole process is amazing. I've watched it unfold and how you guys have put all this together and your team. And we're going to give one of those away. Did I just hear your dog? Is that what that was? We're going to give this away. If you go to urgentcaremarketingpros.com/brand, we're going to give you a chance. Just fill out your name, email, a couple of details there, and you get a chance to win this brand package. We're going to give the brand package away 30 days after this episode airs. That gives plenty of time for people to get in there. And we are also working on, it's not ready yet, but an offer for anybody who doesn't want to wait, needs to get a brand done. We're going to go ahead and give you an offer there. It'll be on the landing page when you go there.
Fantastic.
I'm excited,
Awesome.
Bethany. I appreciate you bringing that to the table today. You've put so much good information out there to the Walk-Ins Welcome community. We appreciate you for that. How can people learn more about you, all your 200 brands, and everything else you have going on? How can they learn more about Bethany Meadows?
Yeah, so there's no one place to go for all the things, but the marketing agencies, verticalsolutionsmedia.com, Time to Thrive membership.com. We also have a new coaching package we're about to launch there that provides a strengths coach and a marketing strategist that you meet with one-on-one every month, as well as going through the group membership. So
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
That's a really cool thing as well. So this is what I do at 3:00 in the morning, Nick. I think about things about how I can help people and then create something that makes it happen.
I love it. And you do it so well. Most people would go from thing to thing to thing, but you don't do that. You have a garage full of businesses. They're still there. You still own them.
And a fantastic team to back up each one. So
Can't do a thing without a team. All
Yeah,
right.
usually in the bios, like I've started 20 different companies and now I only have one,
If that.
Yeah.
I'm in between companies at
Yeah,
the
right.
moment. Bethany, we appreciate you. We're going to put all this information in the show notes. Absolutely want to have you back on a future episode. And I cannot wait to see who wins this brand package and how you're able to transform their business with it.
yes, it's going to be fun. And maybe we can come back on the show and do like a case study of whoever won.
Yeah,
There you
even
go.
better if we can bring them on the episode with us too. That
We
would
can talk
be
about
cool.
the
Yeah,
process.
that would be
That's right.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, we'll make that happen. Bethany, thank you for being a part of Walk-ins Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.